The LA Times just dropped a bomb on the California cannabis industry after conducting their own investigation and doing a lot of tests on different products that are sold. And they found an alarming level of pesticides in a lot of the popular brands of vapes and pre-rolls. Now, one thing that I find interesting, as long as I've been creating content, one of the things that I get asked about the most is vape brands from California. I've never tried them, and I've only heard of most of them because I'm constantly asked about them. And I usually retort with something like, hey, unless you can go into the shop and get it yourself legally, don't get it because it might be a fake. But now I'm like, yo, even if it's real, you might not want to go into the shop and get it because there's a lot of brands on this list. And there's some surprising information here. So let's take a look here. An investigation by the Times in conjunction with the cannabis industry newsletter Weed Week found alarming levels of pesticides in cannabis products available on dispensary shelves across the state, including some of the most popular brands of vapes and pre-rolls. 25 of 42 legal cannabis products that the Times and Weed Week purchased from retail stores and had tested at private labs showed concentrations of pesticides either above levels the state allows or at levels that exceed federal standards for tobacco. The testing for tobacco and the testing for cannabis is not the same, and they don't actually test for a lot of stuff in cannabis, which is crazy. The contaminants include chemicals tied to cancer, liver failure, thyroid disease, and genetic and neurological harm to users and unborn children. It's kind of wild to hear what was found in some of these carts and pre-rolls, and it's kind of wild to hear which brands they were found in. Some individual products contained as many as 24 pesticides. The findings dovetail with scores of complaints that 2 private cannabis testing labs have filed over the last 8 months, reporting pesticides in products certified by other labs as safe. The results, labs said, suggest some levels of contamination in more than 25,000 vapes and pre-rolled joints on store shelves, about the number sold legally in California in a 2-day period. Now, it's no secret that some people, some companies, they're buying lab results. They're paying for the better results. They're paying for the pesticide levels to look lower and those cannabinoid percentages to look higher. It's kind of wild to hear about. I've heard about it in a number of states, not just California. It's everywhere. And I'm also going to link this article in the description if you want to take a look at it, because we're not going to have time to go over all of it. There's a lot of information to unpack here. But they have a chart of 36 chemicals that appeared at the highest levels in legal cannabis products. And they tell you which products. We're going to look at those in just a little bit. Strong profit incentives driving contamination. And vapes are very, very popular. It's the most unintimidating way to get high. Reviews of confidential lab reports, public records, and interviews show California regulators have largely failed to address evidence of widespread contamination in the state's weed crop. The state's requirement for testing have not been updated to include dangerous chemicals currently used in cultivation, including illegal smuggled pesticides so toxic that law enforcement officers who encounter them are advised to don respirators and take blood poisoning tests. They ban, oh, you can't use this anymore? They get another bootleg version from China or something that's similar, but it's different. There's a lot of places that just, they do the grow completely different. They put different chemicals, different nutrients, different pesticides into it. Not everybody's growing it the same and just watering the dirt, watering a plant. California Department of Cannabis Control officials declined to make anyone available for an interview. The agency would also not release either external or internal discussions of pesticide contamination and refused to release information on its ability to test cannabis products, saying such knowledge would encourage bad actors. They're acting very badly right now. So they haven't updated any of the testing regulations. They're not talking about it. Are they doing anything? But now the agency is scrambling to initiate California's first market test for pesticides. Now let's see some of the chemicals they have on here. There's a lot. I don't know if we can read them all. But they're telling you how many times over the permitted limit they have. So look, if you're good with words, pronounce these for me. Chlorophenapir, they found over 2,000 the amount. It's an insecticide that causes nausea, vomiting, headache, difficulty breathing, wheezing, chest tightness, short-term memory loss. Combustion causes it to release hydrogen cyanide and other toxic gases. In rats, it concentrated in the breast milk. causing increased death of offspring. Bro, what? Some of these are not even screened for. They're not testing for all these. Damage to endocrine organs. Anybody get headaches, dizziness, nausea, vomiting from smoking carts, smoking pre-rolls, smoking that cheap stuff? Let's see if I can find the one that made me go, what? Because there's a lot of crazy ones on here. I'm going to link this again so you can go through the whole list. There's a lot to unpack here. Bro, this one, propagorite. It's associated with the brain cell death in the Parkinson's? Bro, the carts are making you brain dead? So the regulators initially responded to the complaints with recalls, requiring products to be removed from shelves. So this guy, Josh Schweider, the chief executive of Infinite Chemical Analysis Labs and author of most of the complaints, in December sent his summary of contaminated products directly to the governor, sent an email saying those failing products alone represented 150,000 packages of flower vapes pre-rolls for sale to unsuspecting consumers. So they tested a lot of this stuff and found that they were still selling a lot of these packages. A lot of these products were still just getting sold. California requires cannabis products to be tested for 66 pesticides. That list unchanged since 2018. Do you think they've come out with more pesticides since then? Do you think that there should be more on the list? Unchanged in 6 years? The test conducted identified 7 off-list pesticides in legal products on store shelves. So at least 7 new ones. One brand of vape contained Flavorade, a fungicide proven to lower sperm count and prohibited in the United States since 2008. They're using stuff that you can't even use in the country? They're getting the bootleg stuff from China. They gotta be. I thought this was interesting. A pink acai vape from Stiiizy, the state's top-selling brand, carried more than 60 times the amount of pymetrozine allowed by federal regulators in cigarettes. What was that pymetrozine? What'd that one do again? Prohibited in the EU, prohibited in Canada, prohibited in Norway. But you could use it in the States. No big deal, bro. Cause damage to endocrine organs. No big deal. What's funny is I get asked about this Stiiizy a lot, and the brand, nobody pronounces it right. It has 3 I's in it. Everybody calls it Stiiizy. And they even pronounce it so wrong that they just spell it wrong. Everybody always asks me about Stiizy, and I'm like, yeah, that's not a real brand. But don't worry, they got 60 times the maximum amount of pymetrozine. They're good to go. Here's those pesticides from China. We're good to go, dude. We got them. They were cheap, bro. Straight off Alibaba. So this whole thing is sparked by whistleblowers. People working at labs saying, hey, we don't like what's going on. We know what's going on. But again, there's a lot of information here. I'm going to link it so you can go through. We don't have time to unpack all of this today. But I want to show you the brands that got. Now, it tells you the brand here, the product they tested, and the results. I think the green check mark means it's good to go. The X means it's not good to go, and it's telling you the chemical, the pesticide it popped for, and the amount of times over the limit that they have. Almost 1,500 times over the limit of chlorophenapir. Backpack Boys is all over this list. This is what I get asked about. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? I'm never gonna try it at this point. But Alien Labs, good to go. Backpack Boys, almost all their products that they're testing pop for something or multiple things you don't want. But this says like a dozen things right here, and 15 more, and 16 more, and 15 more, bro. What didn't you put in there? Backpack Boys, Backpack Boys, Backpack Boys, Backpack Boys. Some of these brands I haven't heard of. Circles, I don't know. But I know that if I do see one, I'm gonna circle around it and go away. That's terrible. Cloud. You know, it's only got the yellow one. They're not over the limit. They're there. The exclamation denotes lower levels of pesticides detected. Has them, but lower levels. Connected. They're good to go. Crew? Who are you? I don't know. I'm not going to try. Crew. A lot of crew stuff failed. The cruisers. Delighted's good to go. Dime, not good to go. Everyday, not good to go. Flavorade. Not good to go. Oh, wait. Flavораde's good to go on some of the stuff. They're only testing for one thing, and it's probably just a little bit over the limit. 12 times, 13 times over, 15 times over. Chlordane. Chlordane linked to breast cancer, prostate cancer, lymphoma, diabetes, obesity. Chlordane degrades very slowly, remaining in treated wood, soil, and water for decades. Not permitted at any level. Let's check out these other brands here. Flavorade. Oh, man, they got a lot of chlordane in the Flavorade. It's going to make me obese. Fog City Gelato. They're good. Gold Drop. They're good to go. Grizzly Peak Farms. No heavy hitters. Jeter. I get asked about Jeter a lot. I'm trying to wonder why they tested Backpack Boys way more. Did they just have way more stuff than these other brands? Kingpen. Cola's cares. Cola's no good. Lolo. Never heard of it. Maven. I have heard of Maven, but they're getting red X's. Ocean. They got the exclamation. Pampas Herbs. Phat Panda. I've definitely heard of Phat Panda. I think they're in a few states, eh? They didn't pass. They didn't pass on. We got a whole other page here, like 10, 11 things. Fire with a PH. So cool. Fire. No, they're not fire, apparently. Raw Garden. Good to go. Seed Junkie. Good to go. Oh, wait. No, they're not. Not here. Smart Weed. That sounded so smart right now. Easy. No dice. Superb. Up. There's so many on here. West Coast Cure, no good. West Coast Cure, they got a lot of stuff in there. Multiple pages of West Coast Cure. Multiple. Only like one thing was good to go. They're Jack Herrera. I'm still not getting it. West Coast, West Coast, West Coast. And wild. So very wild to wake up to. I had people tagging me in posts and sending me DMs with the link to the article. And I'm just reading it while I'm working out like, bro, what? They found the what in there? It kills your brain cells? I mean, like sometimes I take a hit and I'm like, I feel dumber, but like, bro, did it kill my brain cells? Anyway, I'm going to link the full article. There's a lot to unpack here. I'm going to read through it again because wow. Let me know what you think of all this. Do you think other states are just as bad? I know there's a lot of brands in California. Any of the states where there's a lot of competition. So they're going to try to cut corners. They're going to try to do some shady stuff to get that little bit of an edge that they can. Anyway, come talk to me about it on my Twitch stream. We get high up to 9 p.m. Eastern. Have a lit day, my dudes.